Today's video we're going to be discussing the government price cap, which is different to the Ofgem price cap. We're also going to be discussing what it means if you're on a variable deal, what it means if you're on a fixed deal, and what it means if you're an Octopus GO customer, and all the options available to you. Now let's first explain there is two price caps. There is the Ofgem price cap, which is considerably higher than the government price cap, and the government will cover the cost from their price cap to the Ofgem price cap to the energy companies because of the war in Ukraine. The idea of the government price cap is to protect people due to the cost of living crisis we are living through at the moment. Now, the Ofgem price cap, let's forget that for a moment. The government price cap is capped at £2,500. This is not the maximum you can pay no matter how much gas and electricity you use. You can pay more than 2.5. 2.5 is meant to be the average person's gas and electricity bill priced at this cap. The energy cap prices, which we'll go into in a minute, fluctuate all up and down the country, and if you use more energy you will have a bill considerably more than £2,500, and if you use a lot less energy you will pay considerably less than £2,500. Now, the amount you will pay per kilowatt will vary massively between regions. There's websites like Martin Money Saving Expert who will give you the exact part for your region. But as a rough rule of thumb, as a guide for the UK, the prices will be 1 or 2p within what I'm about to quote. Now, for gas, that's roughly 10.3 pence per kilowatt hour with a standing charge of about 28.5p a day, and for electricity it's going to be about 34p per kilowatt hour with a standing charge of 46.4p a day. Now, from this point going forward in this video, we will only now be talking about electricity and how that affects electric car owners, and how it will affect electric car owners that are fixed in a price above the energy price cap, what I've just mentioned there, and how it will affect you if you are below the energy price cap that I've just mentioned there. Now, if you're out of contract, you will automatically default to these variable standard rate tariffs unless you're with certain energy companies. Most of the energy companies available at the moment that haven't gone bust all have to pretty much comply to the energy price cap. So the chances are if you're out of contract, you will default to these rates. If you signed a contract fairly recently or a long time ago, the way this will work with you will fall into one of four camps, which we're going to discuss in a minute in the video. But before I do discuss it, I just want to make sure that you understand what's going to happen to my channel in the next coming weeks, months, over the next year from today. I'm going to be doing some more renewable videos on solar, battery storage, the payback of solar, the payback of battery storage, having some battery systems reviewed, possibly having some solars and some inverters reviewed. So if you're interested in cutting your energy costs by putting solar or batteries or just solar, then make sure you click that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos on that series. Now, these four camps are as follows. Camp number one, you signed your contract a while ago, maybe a 2-year fix before the price cap started, and your price is considerably below the price cap, or below the price cap, or the same price as the price cap. Nothing will happen to your energy contract. It will remain as it is till you run out of that contract. When you run out of that contract, you will default onto the government price cap. Next to people who signed a contract roughly between 3 and 9 months ago, so just kind of during the energy issue started to happen, two things will happen to you. One, you will receive a reduction in the rates that you are paying to bring you in line with what the price cap value is. Now, bear in mind that the price cap is a combination of standing charge and kilowatt hour rate. So your kilowatt hour rate and your standing charge may be slightly different on your fixed deal, but they will both roughly be reduced to resemble somewhere near the price cap. So that should happen to you, and when again you run out of this contract, you will default to the government price cap. Next, we have the people who signed a contract really recently, like 1 or 2 months ago, before any government stuff was mentioned, and you signed considerably above the price cap. Now, the way I've read the legislation is there's only so much the legislation will allow a fixed deal to be reduced by. So the chances are that even with the government reduction on your very relatively new contract, you'll still be over the price cap. And in that case, there is a couple of options open to you. Most of the major energy companies will allow you to leave that contract absolutely penalty free and default to the government's price cap. Now, bear in mind that the legislation on all this is not finished, it's not finalised, it's not written down fully. It's an absolute mess. And even the energy companies don't have the full information off the government. So bear in mind, if you're ringing your energy company to leave this a more expensive contract to be assigned back onto the government price cap, they are going to be inundated with calls, emails, everything. So just bear in mind, they may not be as quick to respond as you'd like or hope, but hopefully if you start that ball rolling today, if you're massively over that price cap, then by the time the government price cap and the new prices come in on the 1st of October, you should be able to go on those new rates. But bear in mind, they may not have a definite answer at the time of you ringing them. Now, finally, we have the rest of us, which are on special adaptive tariffs like Octopus GO. Now, Octopus GO, for example, is 39.95p, basically 40p during peak times, and 7.5p during off-peak times. Now, I am not 100% sure what the legislation will do on this. Will it reduce that 40p kilowatt rate slightly down, maybe to 35, 36, because the standing charge is slightly different on Octopus GO? Or will it stay at 40p and 7.5p because they'll look at the average of kilowatt hours you'll use? So if you look at the Octopus average on 40 to 7.5p on what you're going to use if you're an EV driver, you're going to be well under that 35p price cap. So whether they're going to take that average kilowatt hour use or they're going to take the peak rate and reduce that slightly, I honestly don't know. I'm going to put a bet on maybe the 40p rate coming down and being slightly subsidised by the government price cap system, but I honestly don't know. I'm pretty sure Octopus don't have a definite answer yet. Last time I checked on the sources and the website and contacts, they don't have a definite answer yet, so don't expect them to come through with a definite answer. But if you are not currently on a fixed deal and you have an EV, if you're not currently on Octopus GO, then I have one thing to tell you now. If you're not on Octopus GO, then you need, as an EV driver, to seriously consider moving to Octopus GO or a considerably cheaper tariff compared to the price fix. And I will explain exactly why that 40p peak rate really doesn't matter in a moment. But before we do, if you're not on Octopus at the moment, if you're not an Octopus customer and you want to switch to Octopus GO, you do have to jump through a few hoops. Now, first of all those hoops are listed on evnic.com/energy, and those hoops include getting a SMET 2 meter fitted by your current energy company now, or ensuring you have a secure branded smart meter. And that means Octopus can see those data readings from that smart meter and make sure you can use Octopus GO as soon as you move over. You also need to basically ring them or email them to move over. They won't allow transfer via their website. And if you want to split £100 with me when you sign up, on evnic.com/energy, there's a code, my Octopus code there, to split £100 with me to ensure that you get £50 when you sign up, and it helps pay towards bits for me for my channel, and it also helps me carry on making content like this to advise and help people. Now back to why that 40p rate doesn't matter. And that 40p rate doesn't matter because if you see on evnic.com/energy, there's a spreadsheet. You can put in what your current peak is, how much energy you're likely to use in your EV, and it'll tell you what your average rate is. 40p and a 7.5p means that if you're driving an EV pretty much 3 or 4, 5,000 miles, if you're driving a car and you're doing less than 3,000 miles, I'd question why you need a car. But if you're doing 4,000 miles minimum, then that 7.5p massively drops your average rate well below that 35p government price cap. So it's well worth switching. The spreadsheet's available for free. Just download it, input your own figures, and you can work it out for yourself. If you're already with Octopus and you're not on Octopus GO, seriously start considering moving over. If you're an EV customer, it's seriously advantageous, and Octopus allow you to use other devices in that time period like dishwashers, washing machines, charging batteries. You can really reduce your peak rate average, and also means that you go way under the price cap. If you're considering moving to Octopus GO or another tariff, let me know down below in the comments. Have you found this video useful? What do you think is going to happen to that 40p? Do you think Octopus are going to reduce it with the government price cap information? And also, more importantly, what do you think is going to happen to businesses? No government information has been announced to business, and they're saying it's going to be until November. I personally see quite a lot of businesses going under in that amount of time. We've already seen energy companies, charging firms rise their charging rates, and one is today, as I'm recording this video, just released their charging rate at £1 a kilowatt hour to charge, because they've got no price cap and at the moment no government help. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you very, very much for watching this week's video. Don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.